Fallout 76 Wastelanders will prove underwhelming for anyone who expected a mind-blowing revolutionary update to the game. But for anybody expecting a, Bethesda product, Fallout 76 Wastelanders may very well prove to be a pleasant surprise. Now don't get me wrong, Fallout 76 is not a good game. It is in fact a garbage trash game. It was a garbage trash game before Wastelanders came along, and it's a garbage trash game now. However, it is a garbage trash game with some Fallout in it at last, which is nice in a Fallout game. By Bethesda's own admission, the company didn't realise that Fallout fans play Fallout for Fallout content, but almost a year and a half after its release, Fallout 76 finally has begun to resemble a Fallout game. Not a particularly good Fallout game, and nowhere near a good video game period, but there are NPCs now. Stilted, ugly, poorly animated NPCs. I mean, the game's ugly as sin, and the arrival of non-player characters only serves to highlight that with how bad they look and move. As characters jittered and jerked like busted animatronics throughout my experience with Fallout 76 Wastelanders, I was reminded of last year's The Sinking City. In fact, I'm reminded of all sorts of European action-adventure RPG games, the kind that Focus Home Interactive publishes, the kind that's quirky and charming but also undeniably janky. And Fallout 76, a game by a significantly richer, more mainstream company than Focus Home Interactive or Frogware or any company making RPGs at that low budget level, looks significantly embarrassingly worse. It looks worse than a game like The Sinking City. In fact, the NPCs in Fallout 76 are not, in my opinion, good enough to be in The Sinking City. But nonetheless, okay, the game is fucking hideous. We all knew that. How does it play? Well, it's an old Fallout game. Over the course of a year and a half, Bethesda has managed to awkwardly bolt on a traditional Fallout experience, and it's fine, I guess. I mean, if you haven't played The Outer Worlds, then you might think this is fine. I mean, I'd say the world has significantly moved on from this archaic, clunky shit. But that's just me going off and having standards again. I mean, I will say this, and I will praise this as a miracle. Fallout 76 Wastelanders did release and didn't completely destroy Fallout 76. And by Bethesda's standards, that's amazing. That gets a round of fucking applause. Considering almost every update Bethesda makes to any of its games manages to break the game in some impressively bizarre way, I am surprised that Fallout 76 is even playable right now. Though this is not to say that the game isn't a broken, glitchy, buggy piece of shit. I last played Fallout 76 a little under a year ago and was shocked to find that after all those months, the game hadn't seemed to improve a single jot. Whole sections of the world would flicker in and out of existence, well, at that point it was just fucking robots. They'd get stuck on the scenery, you'd get stuck on the scenery all the time. Enemy corpses would remain stuck in the air after you shot them, sometimes they'd just stand around doing nothing, they'd be missing limbs, they'd be walking through solid rock. All of that's still there. They don't seem to have improved that at all. But then it's Bethesda. They've realised they don't need to improve anything about themselves. They can have dated, busted, ancient-feeling games, and enough loyal fans will still shovel money into them. You'll see a fair few examples of those bugs in this footage that I'm showing you in this video, and you may think that I went and sought them. I went to hunt these bugs down. Oh no, I never had to look very hard to find the bugs. The bugs found me. They're just that common. This game is so rife, so riddled with them. I would hit record to get some footage, and within 5 minutes, something stupid would happen. And the game's bug-riddled nature has not been helped by the NPCs, who on their own have not made the game worse, it's just they come with their own bugs, so they've just added more bugs into the game by virtue of their mere existence. But all this said, Fallout 76 Wastelanders does provide some traditional Fallout content, so if that's what you wanted, you will get it. The main NPCs are glorified MMO-style style quest givers, really. They're sectioned off in their own little closed-off environments that only you and members of your party can access. But there are friendly NPCs out in the world that you can bump into, and there are raiders and stuff like that. There are settlements. There's a feeling that there's actual life in this wasteland now. Because that sense of life sure wasn't coming from bumping into other players once every maybe 20 minutes. The quests added are fine. The dialogue is fine. The mission structure is fine. I mean, it's old Fallout. Not like, you know, the first two Fallout games, but like Fallout 3, Fallout 4. I mean, it's Fallout 4, but worse. That's basically Fallout 76 now. And I know some people will feel like that was the original Fallout 76, that was Fallout 4 but worse, but I would argue that the launch version of Fallout 76 was nowhere near good enough to be called Fallout 4 but worse. And now, at last, a year and a half later, Fallout 76 is good enough to be called Fallout 4 but worse. In fact, let's just cut to the fucking chase. Fallout 76 is finally, after all this time, good enough to be called mediocre. Fallout 76 can now be played as a fairly traditional Fallout experience. If you wander outside of the bounds of those quests, though, the ones specifically designed around actual Fallout content, you will start running into all of the shit that made Fallout 76 not all that impressive to begin with. All of the mundane survival game shit. All of the boring, repetitive events and missions that crop up. All of the hollow content that made Fallout 76 feel like a disused Fallout theme park. But you now can sweep a lot of that aside and just focus on playing Fallout 76 like it were a Fallout game. A Fallout game that probably would have impressed people about 10 years ago, but today just looks sad. I mean, it honestly looks sad. It's the same broken, sloppy shit it always was, with NPCs that now make Focus Home Interactive's entire library look visually stunning. After The Outer Worlds came out, I argued that Bethesda was obsolete, that we don't need them anymore, and Fallout 76 Wastelanders only compounds my belief. I don't need this. There's better than this. I can play so much better. I can get better action RPG experiences. I can get better Fallout experiences from games not called Fallout. Playing Fallout 76 as traditionally as possible now, focusing on the Wastelanders content, does not provide a bad time. Fallout 76 is no longer for me a terrible time. It's just a time. It's time spent. And in these uncertain times, a lot of people are stuck at home, self-isolating, self-quarantining, they're bored, they're desperate for something to do, and if you're desperate for something to do, then Fallout 76 Wastelanders can give you something to spend your crushingly lonely time with. But it is remarkably inferior to its comparable contemporaries. It's nice to see that Fallout 76 actually has something to offer other than nothing. But everything it does has been done better, often by studios with nowhere near the resources Bethesda has. It's just not up to par. In any way. It's not good as an action RPG, it's not good as an always online live service. It's certainly not good as a shooter. Dear fucking lord, does Bethesda need to severely overhaul that stuff. And while it is nice to finally see NPCs, their introduction only serves to highlight how regressive Fallout 76 feels. What a step back it is to play this game. I mean, playing Fallout New Vegas feels fresher than this. It's a blundering, antiquated game with AI that's thicker than my round ass. Why is it that during a fight, some enemies just don't fight? They just don't. They run away or they stand there staring at you. To say nothing of the noticeable lag every time you fight something. The amount of times a kill is registered a second or two after the kill was made, it really throws you off. And then there's the slowdown. That seems worse. I don't remember the slowdown and frame rate issues being this bad, but it's fucking bad. Sometimes this slows down and chugs to the point where you think you're looking at a Chris Morris jam sketch. Honestly, Bethesda, how do you think this is acceptable? Like, bearing in mind that it's taken you a year and a half to drag this game up to almost acceptable, how is the stuff you make, in your opinion, good? I'd love to find that out. I would love Bethesda to explain how this is okay. Something this fundamentally, consistently broken, something this mechanically, visually obsolete, something measurably worse than a game like The Sinking City in almost every way, and yet packaged, promoted, and sold as a full mainstream AAA game. So anyway, that's Wastelanders, it's okay.